Hi everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Has Thrift and today I'll be showcasing Backrooms TCG. For this video, I wanted to take a step back and create a quick how-to guide to set up the game and to play. For those of you who might just be getting started or haven't seen the game yet. So in order to play, you need a 52 card deck, and there are available starter decks on the website if you're interested in purchasing them. But in order to make a balanced deck, you need 30 room cards, 10 entity cards, 10 item cards, and 2 outcome cards. And the card rarities are designated by the color of the light at the top. So for rooms, you're allowed an unlimited number of yellow light cards, 5 green light cards, 3 red light cards, and 2 purple light cards. And for the 2 outcome cards at the end, you need 1 exit card, which is the golden stairs most likely, and 1 portal card, if available. So as mentioned, I'm using the Backrooms TCG Lobby Levels Dollface Starter Deck. And you'll need a 20-sided die just to keep track of your sanity levels. You'll need a 2-sided coin as your movement position, as well as heads for the Painite gem. And technically you don't need a playmat, but a playmat is very helpful and they're available online. But you have a field of play that has 8 positions in a circle. You have a pull pile. You have a discard pile. You'll have an inventory with 4 slots. You have 2 spots for next level decks, which once there are more decks available or more sets, you can use these as alternative portals. And then you'll have a deck in hand, which you can just play off to the side. So your first round is called the no clip round. So if you're familiar with the Backrooms lore, the only way to enter the Backrooms is to no clip into it, or to kind of fall into it or jump into it. So after you thoroughly shuffle your deck, you're going to deal 8 cards in a circle, starting from your 6 o'clock position. And then you're going to have 4 cards dealt as your deck in hand, face down. The rest of the cards will go into the pull pile, and that will be what you use to pull into your deck in hand. So if you do 8 cards in a circle, and I did stack the deck for this tutorial just to showcase some of the cards that are available. You do 4 for the deck in hand, which is off to the side, and the rest go to the pull pile. So when you first start, your sanity is at 20, and 20 is the max. So whenever you add sanity based on the cards that you pull, you can't go above 20. If this ever reaches 0, you lose. Your deck in hand you can think of as like your life. If this ever runs out, you lose. You have your pull pile, which is what you'll be filling your deck in hand with. And if this runs out, you actually don't lose. So if you ever run out of cards in your pull pile, it's called decking out, which just means you'll shuffle some of these back into here and keep playing. But I can talk about that at the end. So after you deal your cards, your starting position is actually going to be the first room that shows up starting from the 6. So in this case, it's hallway. If you were to deal cards, deal your no clip round, and no rooms were to show up, it's game over and you're stuck in the back rooms. But there are several different types of cards, which I can showcase here. So there are room cards. There are item cards. There are friendly entities, so entities that will help you out in most cases. There are unfriendly entities, which are usually out to get you. And then there are kind of dual entities, so entities that are either friendly or unfriendly based on the conditions of the game. So it might be like based on how much sanity you have, or just if you attack them or not. There's also permanent cards. The current one in this deck is the Void. So permanent cards can't be moved and can't be covered. So you can do 4 things every round. You can pick up an item. You can engage an unfriendly entity. You can engage a friendly entity. And you can use an item. And the 4 things that I mentioned, you can do in any order. So if you see items on the board and you don't want to move first, you can pick one up. So I'm going to pick up this item. I'm going to engage this friendly entity. So this particular one has the ability to pull an item from the pull pile here. And once you found one, you add it to your inventory. You take both or all the cards you showed and the Death Moth and shuffle it back into here. Now I can engage an unfriendly entity if I wanted to. You don't have to. So in these type of games, I recommend not engaging them unless you had an item to take it out. So for example, when you engage an entity, you place it into the center of the field of play, and you do the things that are on the card. So there's one thing that I forgot to mention, is that there are items that are usually edibles that can distract certain entities. So as long as the entity doesn't say that it can't be distracted, if you're playing a game and you don't want to engage one of them, you can use one of your items and place it over the entity as a distraction. So you'll notice that I placed it upside down because if you were to cover it, well, these items allow you to cover entities as a way to kind of distract them while you escape. But as you continue, you might find that these items get uncovered as you move rooms. And if it's upside down, it means that it's been used. And if you uncover a used item, it goes into your discard pile and the entity is revealed again. If you were to read Dollface's text, it says that it only craves almond water. So you wouldn't be able to cover it with Death Moth Jelly. It would only be available to cover it or to distract it using almond water. So I just wanted to make that point because it's a big part of the game, and we'll continue with the video. So for example, most cards have a card count score, and you probably can't see it here, but it has a number 1 and a DIH, which means deck in hand. So whenever this entity is engaged, you take 1 card from your deck in hand and you put it at the bottom of your pull pile. It also has -3 to sanity. So you take your 20 or whatever it's at and subtract 3, and it has 1 health. So say, for example, you weren't able to destroy it this round, but you engaged it. It would stay in the center, and every new movement round, you would do the card count score. So every new movement round, you would take 1 from your deck in hand and put it at the bottom of your pull pile. But you don't lose sanity every round. So your sanity wouldn't be affected. So he stays in the center until he is defeated. Luckily for this round, I have 2 items. But what's interesting about Lost Agent is he's wearing a hazmat suit. So it makes sense that if you read his text, he's protected against liquid and gas attacks. So even though my Liquid Pain has 2 attack, and he only has 1 health, I can't use this because it's a liquid. So my only option, if I wanted to defeat him this round, is to use Boom Shrooms, which has 3 attack. So whenever you attack an entity, if you're unable to defeat it, which in this case we are, but say this only had, I don't know, I guess he only has 1 health, so he would be defeated no matter what. But say you were facing somebody like Clocksmith, who has 6 health, and you used a Boom Shrooms, which has 3 attack. You place the item sideways just to designate that it's been used, but Clocksmith wouldn't be discarded until his health is depleted. So since this has 3 attack, Lost Agent has 1 life, they would both go to the discard pile. So for that round, just to recap, I engaged a friendly entity, I picked up an item from the board, I engaged an unfriendly entity, and then I used an item. So all 4 of my actions were done, but like I said, you don't have to do all of them, but just for this instance, we were able to. So after that has been completed, you move on to your movement phase. So your movement phase means that you would move a room across from itself, but there's a few caveats. You can't move a room across from itself if it's the room that you're in, or if it's a room that's across from the room that you're in. So you also can't cover unfriendly entities, and you can't cover permanents. So luckily, there's not many options in this board right now, but you would move a room across from itself and do what's on the card. So for this example, you have 1 from the pull pile. So whenever it says that, it means add it to the bottom of your deck in hand. You have -6 to sanity. So some cards will have a positive effect. Some cards will have a negative effect on sanity. And then you have 2 movement or navigation points to use. So whenever you move, don't forget to move your movement token to that position, just so you don't lose track of where you are. And you have 2 movement points to use. So that means from your deck in hand, you're going to place 2 cards on the field. You can go clockwise or counterclockwise, but there's a catch. Since I have 2 points, and if I wanted to go counterclockwise, since I can't cover the void, that point gets, it's null, it's void, you don't use it. If for some reason he was at the first position and I had 2 points to use, your first one would be null and void, and then you would use your second one. So for example, I wouldn't pick up a card for the first one, but I would place the second one. It seems kind of wasteful because you kind of want to see cards as much as possible. So what I would do, or what I would recommend, is go around to the left. But in this case specifically, and I'm thinking farther ahead, you don't want to cover your only room. And if I think ahead, no, even if this last card was a room, I wouldn't be able to move it across to the void. So if I were to go left, the game would be over. So I'm going to do the right counterclockwise way and sacrifice one of my points. This allows me to have a room open so I can keep going. So now that it's a new movement round, you can do all 4 actions again. So you can pick up an item, you can engage an unfriendly entity and or a friendly entity and use an item. Since Clocksmith is a dual entity type, it's an unfriendly and friendly entity based on the conditions set when you engage it. I'm not going to choose to engage it. So since it's both dual types, you're allowed to cover it, move, and keep going. So that's kind of all I wanted to showcase. And then just to kind of skip ahead a little bit, say this was your board. The goal of the game is to kind of escape the back rooms. And the only way to do that is to find the golden stairs. But there's a caveat. You need to have the Paynite gem in order to escape. And the only way to find a gem is to defeat entities that have the gem symbol. So say I engage Dollface. She has 3 health. After I did the deck in hand to my pull pile, I minus 6 to sanity. I can use an item to defeat her. Once she's defeated, if they have a gem symbol, you would flip your Paynite gem. And if it lands heads, you successfully acquired one. Now the next movement phase, as long as the golden stairs is allowed to move across from itself, you can escape. There's a few things that you have to be worried about. Is if there's a golden stairs across from the void, it can never move. So the thing here though is you actually don't lose. There's a thing that you can do, which is called deck out. So if this were to ever happen, you would have to continue playing until all of your pull pile was gone. So say your pull pile was gone, which would mean you either have a bunch of cards in the field or you have a bunch that are discarded. In order to deck out, you would keep your current room, and you would get rid of all the cards on the field. You would get rid of all the cards in your discard pile. So you would keep your room, you would keep your gem if you had one, you would keep your sanity the same, you would keep your deck in hand, and keep your inventory. But you would shuffle everything else, and then you would redeal, kind of like your no-clip round. And you would continue playing just as normal. So even though the golden stairs was across from the void, as long as you kept playing and you decked out and you reshuffled, it's kind of like a new look, but with your same sanity, your same inventory, your same deck in hand. So now you have a second shot pretty much at finding the golden stairs, and you can do that as many times as needed. So some games could last 30 minutes, an hour, but we have some games that only last a couple minutes. If you're able to defeat an entity right off the bat, loot a gem, and find the stairs, you can win pretty fast. Sometimes it takes a couple deck outs in order to find it. So every game's a little bit different, which is kind of interesting. So I think that covered everything. Like I said, you can purchase these play mats, you can purchase starter decks online. There's monthly promos. If you join the Discord, you can win monthly giveaways. But hopefully that was a quick introduction to how to play, how to set up, and kind of what the cards look like. I tried showcasing all of the different options of card types and mechanisms that I could using this deck. But the team is coming out with a lot of different promos and a lot of different cards that actually do have a lot of unique additions to the game, which makes it really exciting. So you can design your own decks, you can make it as difficult as you want, or as easy as you want. There's also community challenges where the community has designed different ways to win, different ways to set up the game, so it's not always the same. But thanks for joining. Hopefully that was a short introduction. Let me know if you have any questions. You can join the Discord and ask your questions there. But thank you.